told her that if she was captured, to not let them know that she was a Jew. And
For whether or not a book should be in our canon is whether or not it mentions God. Who decided that was part of the criteria? Scholars, smart people,
Right.
PhDs and all that. Just let that, I only mention that because this is advanced conversation. All right. If I just come in here and tell you what you already know, you'd be bored or whatever. Maybe bored now, maybe you don't care. But I need to drop that because that's what, you know, you might want to think about. So we're moving from Esther. Thanks for bringing that up too, Sister Davis. Because I was going to bring that up. You don't see God mentioned in that way in that book. Poetry books, about 5 of them that we give away to poetry. Doesn't mean it's all not literal now. I'm just saying you have to be careful. Okay, you have to be careful. You got Job coming in at the oldest book in the whole Bible, really, the whole oldest book. Now, the difference is, just because it's the oldest book, Genesis is just speaking of an older time. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean that it's before what's talked about in Genesis. Just means it was the first one written. It was written a lot earlier. Pretty sure Psalm was written. Then we already go over. People seem to have an understanding of God before there was ever a law that came. According to Genesis, remember we talked about Melchizedek? He was a king of where? Salem. He was a priest of who? The Most High God. Abraham paid 10% to who? Melchizedek, king of Salem, which would later be called Jerusalem. Salem. Sis, I saw her hand.
I'm glad you ask questions about this.
Why would they be saying poetry would be a question? So I really don't know the answer to why they put Job in that category. I do know that sometimes the way things are written, that scholars considered them more of it was more of a artistic style of writing rather than I'm trying to record a record of what actually happened. You might want to take the dialogue in consideration that God has with Job, and it started in chapter 38. You know, some people can look at that a different way, but that's when God says, who is this that darkeneth the counsel with his understanding? Gird up your loins and speak now. I'm going to demand an answer of you, and I want to hear it. I want to hear it. And you answer this, Job? What I find interesting that we don't pay attention to is that God asks him about the zodiac. Nobody wants to talk about it. Psalms. A book that is actually divided into 5 sections. Y'all know Psalms doesn't really have chapters. We say that all the time, but the proper way is to call it by division. Okay, so in Psalms, you really have a section of 5 books. Most people say a Psalm of David, and I have actually heard people say that. This is how we repeat. We parrot stuff in the church. We just think, you have to be very careful when you're in the audience doing that, or people that know, because people will get up here and they'll say, oh yeah, a Psalm of David, and they'll read whatever Psalm, depending on which one, and not realize that David probably wrote about 70 of them.
Right.
Didn't write all of them. But they'll say that just because they're used to hearing, a Psalm of David. So this book is actually divided into 5. It's kind of like having discs. You know how we used to have CDs, 1 disc, 2 discs, 3, and then each one would be like a track. Each what we call chapter or division would be like a track on the disc. Okay? So some Bibles you can even see it, and I have it book 1, and I have so many songs, and then I have book 2, and I have so many songs in it. 150 different songs of praise, prayers. David authored, I already had it up there, I'm sorry. Y'all gonna let me just repeat. Okay. Other authors include Korah, Asher, and many anonymous writers. So you have some. Proverbs, written by Solomon, containing wise suggestions.
How to live.
Okay? And wise suggestions. on how to live. We already talked about that, right? About whether or not something had to be verbatim, literal. Wise suggestions, okay? Ecclesiastes, the key word to this book is vanity. Solomon tells us of the uselessness of trying to be happy apart from God. All right, Song of Solomon is a love song written by Solomon. It depicts the courtship and wedding of a shepherdess by Solomon. Note, next 17 books are of the major and minor prophets. The major prophets are called major simply because of the quantity of writing they did. The minor prophets are such because they just didn't write as much. So it doesn't mean that, Obadiah is not as important as Isaiah. Don't mean that. It just mean Obadiah didn't have a whole lot to say. Or whomever, Zechariah, whatever. They didn't have as much to say as Ezekiel did in all of his different chapters. Follow that?
They didn't often say they writing was like book. They have a book of writing.
Say that one more
I'm
time.
saying book. The
Oh.
scriptures was not as book as the other ones, the major part, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot in it. They were small. Here's a little fun fact since I saw Jeremiah coming up. Well, I'll wait till I get to Jeremiah. So we're moving into the prophets. Now we got 5 more books, y'all. We moved from 5 to 12. We got 5 more. Y'all ready? So Isaiah. This book has been called the miniature Bible. First 39 chapters read like the Old Testament because they are filled with judgment on morality. And the last 27 declare the message of hope. And that's kind of what you have in your Bible. You got 39 books leading up to the message of hope. 27 left, 66 chapters. That was by accident though, because chapters and verses weren't written into it till later. But hey, it's nice, right? It's a good thing to remember, and you can check that out on your own. Jeremiah, I'm gonna say something before I get out of here if I remember. I've given y'all a few things to look at. I've given you Job, okay? We talk about them sons of God, and you gotta go back and check the Genesis 6 out now. I don't remember what the other ones were. That was the last. Probably some other stuff. All right, Jeremiah. Jeremiah was called from his youth to be a prophet. For 40 years, the heartbroken prophet declares a message of doom to a stiff-necked people of Judah. Pay attention to what I'm going to say. Yeah, it's going to be a trick question. Or a trick statement. So Jeremiah never actually wrote anything. I just want to see what happened in y'all's face. So he dictated it. He never actually wrote anything. he had a amanuensis, they call it, by the name of Baruch, depending on how you would like to pronounce it. Baruch was like Jeremiah's secretary. So Jeremiah would speak, and this individual would write. Paul did the same thing too. If you read through the book of Romans in the 16th chapter, you'll find out he didn't actually write that book. He dictated that book to somebody. That's good to know, because depending on who you're talking to, they'll try to come catch you up on little stuff like that. So just know Jeremiah, the book came from him in that sense. Lamentations, also written by Jeremiah. Jeremiah cries over what has happened to Jerusalem. The book describes the funeral of the once proud city that is reduced to rubble by the invading Babylonians. Ezekiel, written by the prophet and priest himself, while ministering to Judah during their 70 years, I should say, in Babylonian captivity. And Daniel spans the entire 70-year period. Because remember, they come in, they get these people from Jerusalem. Daniel's one of those people. So when he starts to write and everything, he's in the middle of the captivity while everything is going on. Daniel seems to also have been blessed to live very long, because he lived throughout all these kings. He was 90-something years old. So, and when whenever they wanted to know something or needed a wise guy, they ran and got Daniel. It didn't matter that he was an Israelite or whatever, they knew Daniel knew his stuff because of who God was for him. Oh, this book says Daniel becomes God's prophetic mouthpiece to the Jews, I should say, and Gentiles. All right, so we are about done. Maybe have some discussion on it. Let me say that again. So you have 250 BC. So we're talking about 250 years before Christ would be born. Book is compiled, Old Testament book. This Old Testament book is written in Greek. We have nothing from that period written in Hebrew. And the Hebrew that you see today, be careful with that because that is a different Hebrew script than would have been used that day. Because what they were using unto then, remember, they had mainly what's called the Canaanite languages or the writing system. How long were they in the area? How long were they in Egypt? They were in that area. This is the learning, this is the understanding. They move out of there, then they go into captivities. You got these captivities going on. And it's kind of like this. This is kind of what happened. So what if I were to, if you trace your lineage back and you say, yeah, I found out that my ancestors came from Ghana, you know? And so what's that language? Do y'all speak that? No, you don't speak that because you were removed. And it's no different. It happened here too. It happened when you go back to the Babylonian, when you go back even further to the Assyrians with the people in the north. It happened when you go back to Egypt. These were the languages. Moses was trained, he was raised by his mother through a miraculous thing that was going on and how God had it laid out. But the Bible lets us know he was trained in all the wisdom of Egypt. So Moses is writing, best we could tell, the most, looking at this with a real eye, this is an individual that would have been learning how to write whatever they wrote. I don't know what they wrote. Probably Coptic or something like that. But whatever they wrote, this is what he would have wrote. I'm going through all this because these are the things that are coming to the church. These are the things that you have to understand and know about teaching-wise. Because when you say the oldest existing, and we don't even have it, but the oldest form of the Old Testament is not in Hebrew, it's in Greek. And that's from 250 BC. It's called the Septuagint. If you're taking notes, you can abbreviate that by writing LXX. It's the Roman numeral for 7. Now there's a whole story as to how we got this Septuagint and how that all went down. I won't say more. Maybe that's something you're interested in, or maybe the next time we come together, I'll go deeper into how you have, and listen to this close, how you have a Hebrew, Jewish word. Ezra comes back from the captivity. Okay, back here in, what was that? That was 606. I think it was 606 with the Babylonian captivity. Yeah, 606. Comes back from the captivity. He has to produce the work because it's been destroyed. They've been conquered. They took this stuff. So now they need the law 70 years later. You have to follow this stuff in history, and it's good for you if you're going to look into it to know about it. Again, 250 BC, Greek, Old Testament, there is nothing presented in any of before that. That's very important to know. Extremely important. I can't even stress how important that is to know. And then you move forward, and then Christ was born, and then we began to write the New Testament. I think I finished Northern Kingdom of Israel. Y'all know that's them other tribes. While the nation looks good outwardly, their spiritual adultery is overflowing. God instructs Hosea to marry Gomer, who does to Hosea what Israel is doing to God. You have Joel, tells of swarms of locusts descending upon the southern kingdom of Judah. God will destroy his enemies, but bring unparalleled blessing to the obedient. Amos speaks of a time when the social, economic status of Israel was booming. However, below the surface, greed and injustice abounded. Obadiah reminds us of the struggle between twin brothers, Esau and Jacob. The struggle continues in their descendants, Edomites and Israel. Jonah. God orders Jonah to preach repentance to the Ninevites. The prophet attempts to flee because he knows God will have mercy on Nineveh if they repent. Y'all ever wonder, just really think about this. You're a human and you actually get to hear the voice of God. And you gonna do something? Something to think about. Called from what might be considered today a rural community, this is Micah. The prophet delivers a stern message of judgment to the upper class members of Jerusalem for their mistreatment of the poor. Nahum, Nineveh has now forgotten the message preached by Jonah 100 years earlier. You know, that's what we do, right? We forget. Okay. God pronounces judgment on them by the hands of the Babylonians. Here they come again. Let me see. Habakkuk ministers to Judah during their falling away from God. God announces that the Babylonians will be his chastening rod. You know, so God can use or will use somebody that's not even for God to mess you up, discipline you, send you a lesson. Zephaniah preaches of a revival in the reign of King Josiah, which produces an outward change. God tells the wrath to become. God tells of the wrath to come because the nation sins, but there will be great blessings after the punishment is complete. Haggai, or however you want to say it. I like Haggai. The Jews returned from Babylonian captivity and began to rebuild the temple of God. However, 16 years later, they would still have not finished because they allowed their personal affairs to interfere with it. You know, that sounds like us.
That sounds like us now.
That sounds like us for real. Yeah. Zechariah, for a dozen or more years, the building of the temple of God has been in progress. Zechariah encourages the people to finish the work. He gives them the motivation of the building for the future and the coming of the Messiah. And Malachi, during the time of Nehemiah, Malachi speaks of a corrupt priest, wicked practices, and numbness of the people towards the word of God. That temple, I'll say something real quick here. Conclusion, your continued study and understanding of the Old Testament will aid you in appreciating the New Testament. Just side note, 400 years. So Malachi is written, then there's 400 years before we get another writing.